Thank you all very much. Some observations about yesterday. It was a long day, but that's okay. A lot of Americans have long days. A couple things. I've been involved in 2 impeachment trials. This is the second one. I just want to make an observation here. What the House managers were proposing yesterday is basically to destroy the institution of the presidency as we know it. Make it naked when it comes to partisan impeachment. Not have a venue to go to court and litigate privileges that have been exercised by prior presidents. When it comes to Donald Trump, they're willing to destroy the institution of the office in the name of getting him. So, bottom line, the Clinton impeachment was conducted by outside counsel. There's none here. Ken Starr spent 5 years investigating the president before we took up the matter in the House. The president was allowed to cross-examine Ken Starr at the House Judiciary Committee. He recommended 11 grounds for impeachment, and President Clinton utilized the courts extensively on his behalf. Robert Mueller was an outside counsel appointed to investigate this president. I want the public to know that this president cooperated with Mr. Mueller. He turned over 1 million documents. His lawyer testified for 30 hours, and after 2 years of investigation with 19 lawyers, 40 FBI agents, 2,000 subpoenas, and 500 search warrants, they decided to take no action. They said there was no collusion between the Trump campaign and the Russian government, and when it came to obstruction of justice, they did not recommend any action. I thought that would be the end of it. I actually introduced legislation to say that Robert Mueller cannot be removed except for cause, because the president felt like the Mueller investigation was a witch hunt. I did not. The president was frustrated because he said he did nothing wrong. I can understand that. But it was important for me to make sure that the country would have somebody to look at these allegations because they're very serious. And I supported Mueller's ability to look. And he looked for a long time, and I thought it would be over. Mr. Schiff said yesterday what they did in the House was just like what we did with Clinton. That is absolutely untrue. From the time they authorized impeachment, it took 48 days. Not 2 years with Mueller, not 5 years like Clinton, but 48 days. The fact-finding process was done in the Intel Committee, not the Judiciary Committee. The president was denied a right to counsel in the Intel Committee and could not request witnesses. They spent 1 day in the Judiciary Committee. Go back and look at the tapes of how long Ken Starr testified before the the House Judiciary Committee, of which I was a part. What we've done for the first time in American history is impeach a president without outside counsel involved in a 48-day period. But here's what struck me the most. One of the House managers said, the reason we didn't go to court, or we didn't want to go through the courts, is that we couldn't impeach him before the election. They withdrew from the the Deputy National Security Advisor case, where the Deputy National Security Advisor went to court and said, tell me what to do, Judge. The House actually withdrew the subpoena because they didn't want the court process to stop the impeachment train. They would have the United States Senate create an impeachment process where the president would not be allowed to go to Article III courts to argue privileges that have been argued in every other impeachment trial and have been argued by presidents since George Washington. That would destroy the institution of the presidency as we know it. What would it do? It would allow a handful and a 300+ million country, people, along partisan lines to impeach a president without independent judicial review. Before I came here, I used to try cases. We have a lot of good lawyers in this body. All I can say is that when the court date was set, and if I showed up and asked for a bunch of subpoenas and documents to be produced on the day of trial that I had not pursued before the trial in any serious way, I ought to get tossed out. What did we do yesterday? Exactly what happened in the Clinton impeachment trial. We're going to hear the House's case, the president's response. We're going to ask questions. Then we'll decide among ourselves, do we want to know anything more? Yesterday was about 11 hours of them telling us how bad their case was, in my view. They did not pursue these witnesses because they knew the president would seek judicial redress, and it literally would stop them impeaching him before the election. So the only thing I can tell the American people, when it comes to replacing this president, 9 months plus from the election, you got an uphill battle with me, because I really do believe that the best group of people to pick a president are the voters, not a bunch of partisan politicians. And every day we're here doing this is a day we're taken away from doing things that really matter. So when they say it was like Clinton, no. When they say the courts really have no place in impeachment, that it's all going to be done by the House and the Senate without any independent judicial review, God help us all.